Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News with me, Katira King. From technology to demography, the global economy is entering a new era. Reappraisal of value proposition, value creation, and value capture that make up the essence of business models can open up new opportunities for businesses to thrive. New business models can provide better blueprints for creating value, which economies and societies can use to tackle the challenges they face and allow them to flourish. So today on Our Take, we discuss how this new era affects old-time business models. I'm joined by Chigozie Nwizu, Comfort Sakoma, and Labe Daniel to discuss. Good morning, my panel of experts.
Good morning.
How are we?
Good.
We're talking business. Yeah. We're talking how to diversify one's business, how to make money, even if you're not smart. Who said that? Not me. Okay. Now, I have a statistic for you. Yeah. Africa has 16% of the world's population, but accounts for less than 2% of global trade. Yeah. How do you think that we can improve on this? Comfort, I'll go to you first.
Well, I think that it starts actually with media.
Right.
I've looked at a lot of newspapers, I listened to a lot of the entrepreneurial content, and what I've discovered is that there's very little conversation happening in this country about going global. When you look at entrepreneurship content, it's very centered on starting up.
Right.
And then what is my question?
Happens next?
What happens next? It's very difficult to access information on export. I mean, of course, there's the Nigerian Export Promotion Council that's done a great job at going around the country and getting people who are already thinking about exports to facilitate that. But there is a different conversation that needs to happen amongst millennials. We need to get our businesses that line Admiralty Way, that line Wuseitu and Abuja, to think global.
Yes.
And to help them understand that 95% of America's exports happen from small businesses. You don't have to be big to go global. Global means Ghana. Global means Nairobi. I tell my members all the time, if you're solving a problem for Lagos, it's probably a problem in Nairobi. Yeah. It's probably a problem in Dakar.
Absolutely.
And there is a need for us to think about how we can solve problems for Africa, not just our city.
That's amazing. Yeah. Chigozie, what's your take on that?
Okay, I'm going to, talk about the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. They have four-point agenda on ways they want to support the growth of micro, small and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria. And I'm going to cite about 3 of them and ways that we could still, leverage franchising to be able to actualize that. One of them is access to finance.
Right.
No business, no financial institution is ready to support any business that has not proven, been in business for upward a year and has the records and all that. One of the other ones is also being able to, help SMEs to tool up, to build skills and scale up. And then the other is FDIs, foreign direct investment. So now bringing it back to ways franchising can support. We are planning a massive, expo, franchise expo and exhibition that is going to see over 10,000 participants, and we're going to have brands from all over the world coming to exhibit in Nigeria, and it's going to give opportunity for foreign funds coming into the country. Then you talk about capacity building. Franchising model is superb in helping to do knowledge transfer. Nobody needs to reinvent the wheel, but can leverage an existing business system to be able to thrive. So these are things I think that we will be able to achieve in the near future as our franchising industry continues to build, an enabling environment for, active players to come in.
Now, Labe, you have a business background, so you are equally an expert on this panel of experts. Talk to me about where you see the Nigerian economy playing a role in Africa's economy.
I think, currently, to be honest, Nigerians are, in terms of economy, so we have the second largest economy in Africa, right? But the reality is, even in terms of small businesses, I think the first thing is, I think we need a mindset shift. Because there's, mindset...
Everyone's nodding in agreement.
No, because mindsets...
We don't normally all agree when it comes to our take, so this is wonderful.
Mindsets are so local. Yes. It's worrying.
Yes.
And then also, it's that whole I don't want to share my idea. People are going to steal it. Nobody can steal your idea.
Yes, your intellectual property.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people are so scared to share ideas.
Why do you think that is, though?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Go on, Comfort.
Well, I mean, there is a legitimate fear that when you tell someone about something, they're going to copy it. But what I always say to people is, they can only copy the aesthetics.
Absolutely.
You know, they can't copy. They can't copy the execution,
Absolutely.
the operations, the experience. So that's what counts at the end. That's what gives you the sustainability that's
But do we not
needed.
have models in place that support idea sharing? So, for example, non-disclosure agreements. Like, do these things actually hold up in African courts of law?
No, but the thing is, all you have to do is change. All they have to do is just change one concept, and that's it. It doesn't. Then who patents the idea? Because I mean, look, for example, see what happened with Uber. So you now have Taxify, you have Olga Taxi, you can't really patent that.
Absolutely. So in terms of sustainability then, what's the value for sustainability? Because you are, as a franchisee and a franchisor, you talk about sustainability when it comes to business models a lot. So tell me about your viewpoints on that. What's your take on that?
Okay, that is really very key because we can't afford to continue the way we are going, where we see all these failure. We lose a lot of resources when you know, like I talked about employment, you know, the statistics about unemployment is quite high, and we need, you know, the sustainability. So what needs to happen is that we need to actually depend less on the government.
Right.
We need to see the organized private sector, you know, come in and, you know, provide support. Okay, for example, you were talking about people who do not want to share ideas, and sometimes it's because of distrust. You know, people had gotten their fingers burnt.
I mean, there are even allegations that the government will steal people's ideas.
You know, that's it. So, but we need to have like small claim courts, alternative dispute resolutions. Two parties that are going into a business can actually appoint independent you know, individuals and organizations that can help them to resolve any dispute without having to go to the court.
Absolutely.
So there is a lot that can be done by experts in the, and I really want to encourage consulting firms and all the rest of them to throw in their weight to help us to create an enabling environment to help us have, you know, business sustainability.
So, Labo, you mentioned Uber, and I want to talk about them for a little bit because, Comfort, you also mentioned the fact that a lot of Nigerian companies are not looking on a global scale. We're thinking about Lagos, we're not thinking about Nairobi, we're not thinking about London. Now, Uber is a company that started in a garage, as did Microsoft, as did a lot of these worldwide companies that we are aware of. Focusing on Uber, one thing that I believe made them so successful, because they started in 2009, and it was a tiny company just operating in San Francisco. Now, proximity, I believe, is what helped them, being that you could not readily access a car. You know, you would then go onto your phone and at the press of a button, there's a car waiting for you. How do we think proximity can assist Nigerian entrepreneurs in scaling their businesses upwards?
So by proximity, you mean in terms of providing access to people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, for example, technology is now reducing that proximity.
Well, one of the things that I keep trying to sort of embed in the minds of the clients that I work with is that the millennial generation buys very differently than our parents. 5 or 10 years ago, it would have been inconceivable that someone would provide their vehicle for public use. It would have
Very true.
It would have been completely inconceivable that someone would rent a room on Airbnb on their home, in their home.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a typical African when it comes to that. I'm like, somebody in my space? No,
Get the incense out. Out.
But I don't mind staying in somebody else's space on Airbnb.
Exactly. But it would have been inconceivable just 5, 10 years ago. And I think that what's happening is that a lot of older millennials are still stuck between, and even millennials, are still stuck selling to their parents' buying habits and not this generation's buying habits. Our generation prioritizes access over ownership. And so we don't want or necessarily need to own our wedding dresses. We're perfectly content renting it.
Rent a Vera Wang.
And exactly. You know, and a platform for that has not yet created. You know, we don't necessarily want to own homes because we want to move around. And so how are we making rentals and furniture easier to move from place to place? So there are lots of things to consider about this generation and the way that they buy. And I think that technology is the great equalizer.
Right.
I think that far too many companies, especially those that are women-owned, are not leveraging technology in the way that they should. And this matters tremendously because 2/3 of all new businesses being started in Nigeria are women-owned.
Right.
And if these businesses, which represent 66% of all startups, if they're not leveraging technology, we're going to really continue to fall behind. Intel did a report in collaboration with the Clinton Foundation that revealed that the largest technology gender gap in the world is in sub-Saharan Africa, with 43% more men online than women.
Oof.
And that's huge. The global average is about 21%.
Yeah.
And so there is a need for us to very urgently teach women about using technology beyond social media and understanding the role of
Beyond
a website.
selfies.
Exactly, exactly. And using technology to provide access to people. Yeah.
Now, I want to quickly, before we run out of time, just focus on marketing for a little bit, because that is also a facet of improving one's business and scaling upwards. And it is something that you're very competent and coherent in. So in 2016, May 27th, I believe it was, Tesla opened the doors for their new campaign. Yeah. So they spent $6 per unit for advertising costs. And prior to the physical products being released, 200,000 orders had been placed online. So what role do you think marketing plays in achieving a successful business model?
Well, I think the first thing that you need to do is make sure you have a good product.
Right.
I think far too many people assume that marketing is their problem, when a lot of times it's product failure, it's a bad product, it's outdated, it's not really the right opportunity, it's not solving the right problem.
Right.
And so the first step is to understand if your product makes sense. Tesla has a great product.
Yes.
And that's why with a little bit of an investment in advertising, they get really big returns. $6.
That's nothing.
Yeah. But then you see Nigerian businesses going to all of these different ways to try and increase their social media.
Paying celebrities to endorse their campaign that has zero to do with the actual product that they're selling.
Know, that is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Me too. But only because nobody's approaching us to endorse anything.
I mean, celebrity endorsements are a great thing, and I'm not trying to knock anybody's hustle, but I think that sometimes Nigerian advertisers need to realize that the whole nation does not think like Lagos.
Yes.
Half of the country has no idea who these celebrities are. It's not relatable. Nobody has 3 phones on the same network.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to be realistic. I'd much rather see a bunch of entrepreneurs that I know using a phone powered by any network and to be inspired by that rather than someone that I can't connect with. Yeah. And so I think there's a need to look beyond the celebrity and definitely think about how do you actually connect with the brand. I see a lot of digital companies now launching with physical launches. And I think that's so strange. Yeah. Because I think, if you're going to spend 10 million naira, for example, on a physical launch, why not give everyone, the first 1,000 people, a free product? Yeah. I mean, that'll have better integration. Yeah. But here you are bringing a musician to sing, and nobody beyond the people in that room will ever know that happened.
Every single launch I've ever been to.
It's so redundant, it's so outplayed,
It is.
and it really lacks creativity and inspiration. I think we need to get a little bit more creative about product launches.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we have unfortunately run out of time. What I will ask is for both of you to repeat your social media handles again, because I know that there are thousands of viewers watching the show who have been inspired and educated by you today. So if I could start with you, please, Chigozie, what are your social media handles?
Okay, FBDS Nigeria, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. You'll find us there.
Nice and straightforward. And Poise one more time?
Ours is Poise Insider, Poise spelled with a Z or a Z. Poise Insider, and that's across pretty much every social media platform.
Fantastic. Labo, I won't ask you to share your personal information because we don't need men harassing you. But that does bring us to the end of the morning show today. Thanks once again to my sensational guests, Comfort Sakoma and Chigozie Nwuzu, for joining me, Katura King. And of course, thanks to you at home for watching. From my entire team and I here in Lagos, all that's left for me to say is enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.